Welcome to In the Game, presented by Mavis Sports Group. I'm your host, Terry Johnson, and today I have a special guest host, Travis Stride. Travis, will you introduce our guest and get us started?
I want to introduce my little big brother, Richard Seymour here.
Appreciate you having me, guys.
Absolutely. Hey, one of my idols, just to run
Oh
down.
man, cut it out. Hey, I'll tell you, when I came to Georgia, man, Trav was, he was standing on top of the stadium.
Wait, no, hey, I appreciate that, man. You my idol, just for the simple fact of.
It's all love, guys. It's all love,
where you came from, man, turning into an all-SEC, All-American D lineman, 6th overall draft pick, 7-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, 3-time Super Bowl winner, future Hall of Famer. I think you're going into the Ring of Honor up with the Patriots.
Hey, you left out all decade, man. Don't leave.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All decade. Hey. And now he's a ranked poker player.
I know. I can't wait for that conversation. But what I'm going to put on the top of that is, watch this, Richard.
I really wanted to get my insight on the poker,
Yeah, I really want that insight.
That's what that is.
That insight.
But you know what I like is that young man from Gaston, South Carolina.
Absolutely.
Who had ever thought the dream of what it is today?
Yeah.
With all that said, Richard, welcome.
Yeah, well, I know you're bashful, man, and you've accomplished a lot. Why don't you give the fans and the listeners a little background information on your journey?
Yeah, no. Like I said, again, appreciate you having me. It's always good to get on Good Brothers and just begin to share a little bit about your story. You know what I mean? Because everybody at the end of the day, they see, really the end product, right? Yeah. And it's so easy to be enamored with everything, all the successes that come along with the journey, But a lot of times, everybody may want it, but are you willing to put in the work that it took to get it? And across all boards, whether it's business, whether it's football, stocks, whatever the case may be, I think the formula for, in my mind, being successful is they all have the same ingredients. It takes discipline, it's fundamentals, it's attention to detail, it's hard work, and and coming where I come from, it's always good when mom and dad and grandmother send some prayers up for you as well.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
I think it takes, yeah. So I think it takes a lot, just to end up where you want to be at the end of the day. Like I said, I'm from Gaston, South Carolina. I went to Lower Richmond High School, and we put out several pros out of Lower Richmond High School as well. Myself, David Patton went there. Jonathan Goodwin, we played on the same team together. His brother is Harold Goodwin, who's the offensive coordinator with Pittsburgh. Well, I think he was in Arizona now. But we had some talent to come out. Then, like I said, I went on to the University of Georgia. And here's the thing. I wasn't highly touted coming into Georgia.
But I'm a heck of a recruiter. I'm a heck of a recruiter. But keep going, big dog. I didn't interrupt you.
No, when I got there, I'll say this: Georgia was my first visit, and I had a couple more, rather Clemson and North Carolina later. But I knew Georgia was my home because all my brothers, brother Trav, Big Jonas, OG, all of the guys. You could tell, you can feel like it was genuine and it was real.
Okay.
And so from there, I remember the first time I took my visit. I'm in Coach Donnan. Jim Donnan was the head coach at the time. But I remember the first time I went in there and I saw Travis Stroud, I saw Marcus Stroud, They were in the lunchroom. They probably don't even remember this. And I'm standing there, you know, me and my dad, we came on the visit together, and I'm kind of in the background. Yeah. But I'm looking at these guys, and I'm like, boy, Dad, I got to compete with these guys right here. Man, okay. I'm like, hey. So I'm like, you know, all right, I better eat good now, and I better get in the weight room for sure. Yeah. So, you know, but from that point forward, I always had I felt like I've always was talented, but I had to put like the work in and the discipline and everything that it takes to be successful to get to the point where I'm at. And then from there, like I said, you know, coaches and that sort of thing just, you know, like I said, went on to New England, 6th pick in the draft. And then from there, like I was the rookie on the team with a bunch of OGs again.
Right.
So I was always blessed and fortunate to be in the right places at the right time with the right teammates, and just was able to be a sponge and learn so much that what it took to be a true pro and a true professional. So, and then from that point, I left New England, went to the university. Went to Oakland Raiders, and I was the older guy then, helping my young bros and teaching them the ropes and giving them all the lessons that I had learned along the way. Yeah. So it was an opportunity for me to pay it forward at that time, but we can get into all of that a little.
Yeah, and the thing is, how was that transition? You were blessed to go into situations to where you was the youngest person in the room, and you were able to become a sponge and pour from others. You have a lot of kids today that want to play and start right now. How did that help you become the success? How do you think that helped you become the success you are today?
Yeah, so I didn't redshirt my first year at Georgia because I was behind guys like you know what I mean? So I'm riding the bench, right? And
you were getting that work, though.
So, you know, from that standpoint, it was an opportunity for me to learn and see what it took to play at a high level. So I was just able to sit back. I was young at the time. I played my first game at Georgia. I was 17 years old.
I remember.
Yeah.
I tell everybody. My son is like that.
And
I said my son is young now, and I'm thinking about reclassing, but I want to hear your story.
Right. Yeah. No. So I was 17 years old, and from that point, like I wasn't physically matured enough at that time just to play defensive line in the SEC, like, you know, especially interior guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I always felt like D lineman, man, we had to be the best athletes on the field. Like, we got to be nasty. We got to be tough. We got to be able to rush the passer. We got to be able to stop the run. Yep. Like, so you got to be in shape to play at a high level. You got to fight two dudes all the time. Yep. But then, like, if you want to be elite, you got to be able to rush the passer because that's where you make all the money.
That's what
you know what I mean? You don't just want to sit in there and, you know, then, you know, it's second and long or third and long, and then they bring in other guys, you know, for nickel and dime packages onto the field, and then you going off. So I wanted to be the guy to be on the field all across the board, up and down the defensive line. But not only that, but I wanted to be able to stop the run and rush the passer and be a complete player in my mind. So, you know, those were some of the challenges because I didn't want to come off the field in different situations and different scenarios. So I just looked at it as, okay, well, I need to sharpen my game here. I need to do this. I need to do that. And like all of those little lessons along the way, it really helped me into being the player that, you know, obviously, you know, New England drafted.
I like that. My question to you is, take us to that moment when you transitioned from high school to the University of Georgia in your first big game, 100,000 people in the stadium. Yeah. Take us to that moment.
I'll say this. So, I'll say this, and I tell my wife this story all the time. I remember coming out of the tunnel, you know, all the smoke's going up, and I'm a rookie at the time, right?
Yeah.
And I was so hyped being on the field, like for pregame, until if I had to play, I couldn't have played because I was just that tired. I'm talking like I'm beating my chest. I'm looking all in the crowd. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like I'm ready.
Right.
And I was just like, I'm watching it, you know, the OGs on the sideline, they kind of like, just breaking a little sweat, but just getting right. And I was like, you know what? This was a learning experience for me because my heart was I couldn't do it. So from that moment, like I just began to learn, like, okay, here's what I got to do. Here's why. Here's how. And like I said, I've always felt like the environments were right for me.
Yeah.
And it was a special place even before I walked into it. Like, just with guys like Trav and Marcus and Jonas and OG, all of the guys that I played with, but also coaches that, had their hand in helping develop the talents that I had.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, just think, man, thinking about longevity, 3 years, 3 games on the 53-man roster. You were able to play 13 long years. You have this ability to play this child's game for so long. How were you able to perform at such a high level for so long?
It was quite easy for me just in terms of like my drive was I wanted to be the best. So it wasn't anything that was going to stand in the way of that. Like, so that was my initial drive. Like, I didn't want anybody being better than me, and I didn't want anybody to beat me in whatever it was. So that was my initial, like, I hated to lose. And that was where my instincts to, like, I also say this. My wife in the off season, she thought that I really enjoyed working out.
Okay.
Like, but my workout for only to be the best, like that was it. And I think now that I'm done, now she can look back and say, well, you really didn't like the workout because you really don't do a whole lot of working out now.
Right. Hey, I tell people that all the time.
Yeah, no. So like that was my drive at all times. Like if we were competing in something, whatever it took to win, that's what I was willing to do.
That's what's up.
I was always going to tiptoe the line between being overboard, but I just wanted to be right at the line where I wasn't dirty, but I was going to tiptoe the line and find every edge possible. And I was going to do all the little things. I was going to leave no stone unturned. Yeah. When I laid my head on the pillow at night, I wanted to know that I give everything inside of me to be better than I was yesterday. And also I'll say this, it wasn't that I was trying to compete against other players or other defensive linemen. I just wanted to maximize and get the best out of me. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like I really didn't know how that would stack up to other guys. I really didn't. Yeah. But, the chips fall where they may, and, Yeah.
Wait a minute. That's a key moment that I want our listeners to start understand. What Richard said was he prepared to be the best of all that he was competing against. His drive was not necessarily the win. It was knowing that I've given my best.
And you okay with it.
And you're okay with it.
Right. Absolutely.
And going 100%. And when you're going into battle and you put the preparation in and put the work in, you should have confidence.
Right.
That's enough.
And that's what it does.
Yeah.
100%. It leads to confidence at the end of the day because when I look at my opponent, if I've done everything possible, I feel when we're on the battlefield to compete, I feel like I should win, and it gives me the confidence because I've done everything that I needed to do to be successful. Absolutely. And you can be happy at the end of the day with the results, win, lose, or draw it. Like it is nothing else left to give. But if you leave things on the table and, I didn't do this or my nutrition wasn't proper or I didn't get the massages that I needed and, just all the little things, I tried to, like whatever avenue that I could touch, that's what I wanted to do.
Good. Hey, what's the difference? I mean, I want people to understand you were a 7-time Pro Bowler and you were a 5-time All-Pro and you was a 2-time second team All-Pro. That's huge. Right. How did it feel to be the absolute best at your craft? Like I truly lived through you. I know I never got a chance to come see you play.
Right.
Went to several Pittsburgh games,
Appreciate it,
you know,
Trav.
because of Hines.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I lived through you. Of course, I fell short. However, hopefully you feel that I was able to pour some seeds and sow something into you
Absolutely.
that helped you become to who
Absolutely.
you are. But me living through you, how did that feel? I've always wanted to ask you that, to be the absolute best. Or if
Yeah.
not the
Well,
best in the league.
right. Yeah. Well, I'll say this. You know, I'm often asked too, like, well, what's some of your, in your mind, like one of your greatest accomplishments? And for me, two things. It was being a captain, and I was 22 years old on a veteran team in New England.
That's
And
huge.
then, yeah, and then secondly, it was being a member of the all-decade team. And the reason I say those two is because all-decade team to me, it isn't 1 year.
Right.
It
It's a
isn't
body
like,
of
well, I
work.
did it, you know, for 2 or 3 years. It was really about a body of work
Absolutely.
over the course of a career.
Mm-hmm.
You know, year in and year out, consistently. You know, it's like, you know, just imagine it like this. It's like a classic album.
Yeah.
We don't have to skip tracks. You want to put an album in and just
let it
let
ride.
it go. Just let it ride. That's
Yeah.
what make it legendary. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so it isn't like, you know, it's just one game here and there or a couple of years. Like, so it's about the longevity and what you've been able to accomplish over the course of a career. And for me, I think it's also a testament to all the little things that you did along the way. And then too, like, you know, you got to stay healthy. I mean, it's all of the little things that some of it you can control, some you can't, you know, and, you know, I was just very fortunate in that regard, but,
Yeah.
you know.
But I like what you said. The all decade recognized the body of work, not just the moment, but the body.
Right.
And it goes back from that little kid to where I am today.
Yeah.
And then it's the body of work. And so many athletes forget that,
Yeah.
that it's a process and you continue to build, challenge yourself, and look
Right.
to give your best all the time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think it's a message in that for sure.
Yeah. And
And you can't skip any steps. You can't skip
Right.
steps along
That's
the way.
important.
yeah,
You
you
know
can't,
what I'm saying?
yeah, you can't skip
Yeah, I mean,
that.
because like you said, the generation now, like a lot of times, they want to start right now. If it doesn't go right, they want to transfer schools, and you know, and some of it I understand, you know, because I'm on the player side, so I understand because coaches can transfer and do it, but that's a whole nother topic. That's what the NCAA.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, you want to stay the course. So you're speaking about that 22-year-old, that 22-year-old on that veteran team. How was it? You know, you played with two GOATs. You know, Tom Brady being the GOAT in his craft, and I think Bill Belichick, his name should be on the, instead of Lombardi, it should be Lombardi Belichick, you know, trophy.
Wow.
How was it playing for two GOATs, not just one, but being able to understand what leadership is, what preparation is? How was that experience?
Yeah, and it's kind of twofold. Like, so when I got to New England, they were coming off a 5-11 season. You know, hadn't made the playoffs in a long time. You know, so it wasn't like I was coming into the Patriots as we know them.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, like this was the foundation. Like it was being built in 2001. And, you know, like I said, Coach Belichick drafted me 6 overall to the Patriots.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I took that as a big compliment as a defensive guru or a defensive minded head coach, you know, to draft you in. So that was confidence in itself. And in terms of Tom at the time, like Tom was a 6th-round draft pick, you know, on the back of the roster. And Tom wasn't at the time, you know, an elite player by any stretch. Like he wasn't even a starter. And but what happened, obviously, when Drew Bledsoe went down, you know, Tom got the starting role and never looked back. But Tom's first 3 years in the league, we won it in 2001, his first year. But Tom was just a middle of the road player at the time. But it was the intangibles that you saw. You saw
Yeah.
the drive,
Yeah.
right? You saw everything that's going to make that we talked about earlier. That's what's going to make a successful player.
Absolutely.
You saw the attention to detail. You saw the competitive edge.
Yeah.
You saw him doing the little things in the weight room, and you know, so once you add all of that together, and then we were a defensive football team where the difference is when a lot of people talk about like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, I'll say this, like Tom's always had a defense around him. Like when Tom went down,
Yeah.
we still went 11-5.
Yeah.
When
Indeed.
Peyton went down, they got the first pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so it's
They got them hands
it's
full.
a big, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it, like he's all like, and you know, it's a team sport, so it isn't like okay, one guy is just gonna, you know, go out and just demolish everybody. Like, I mean, everybody is professionals at that point. So, you know, so but Tom developed and he became on par with Peyton, and then in a lot of people's minds surpassing him just because of the amount of team success that we had. So, you know.
Wow.
And what about Belichick? Was he? I know he's attention to detail. What makes him different from other coaches? You know, I see Grunt leaving, Tom leaving for a different experience. You know, was it that buttoned up to where they felt they needed to have fun versus handle the business? What's your thoughts?
Well,
on that?
I look at it this, and this a great question. I'll say this. At the end of the day, it was about team success. It wasn't about individual accolades. And I think in order to reach the pinnacle in terms of hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, I think you have to put your own personal agenda aside for the team success.
Yeah.
And the way that I look at it is like it can all work together because obviously you have goals and aspiration as a player. You want to make all pro, you want to be pro ball. Like I get all of those things, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of times it takes being on the same page and you know what, this game, Trav, you might have to sacrifice and take on more doubles and you know, or whatever we need to win
Right.
this week.
Yeah.
So everybody has to buy into ultimate winning. And the way that I looked at it, you know, when we go to the table for our contracts, it's an individual game. So I just felt like, you know what, if they're going to compensate me accordingly to my value, well, now whatever they're asking me to do, that's really kind of irrelevant. Like, compensate me for the value that I bring to the team.
Okay.
And once business is taken care of, then now we can move on outside of it. Like, you know, so it was like, well, if you're taken care of from the team aspect in terms of winning, then I can look at it and say, well, whatever we need to do as a team and to win, like I'm all on board with whatever it is that we need to do.
That's what's up. Do you feel that you were able to reach and attain all the goals you had set for yourself?
I think one's eluded me. Well, I'll put it like this. I think it was. I'll back up. So I do think that it was empowering and liberating to walk away from the game on my own terms.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
And I didn't get a chance.
You know what I mean?
So that's huge.
I think, I mean, but you know, like a lot of times, those are some of the things that's out of your control, and I understand that, and I'm grateful for the opportunities and all the successes that I've had along the way. But I also say that, you know, I made the decision to walk away from the game.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it was still teams that wanted me to play and come in, but I was just like, you know what, I'm ready for a transition. I'm ready for a new chapter in life. And because the game is so physical, the game is so dangerous at times, you know, so I was just like, you know what, I said, to be honest, coming into the league, I only wanted to play 10 years. But once I got to Oakland, Al Davis said, "Richard, I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse." So I said, "All right, I got you."
I know that's right.
I understand.
Yeah.
We got a
Yeah,
question because you brought something up, and we're gonna go there. But before we go there, my question is: tell us about that first Super Bowl when you won, and you were looking at that trophy, and you knowing that you played a critical part in your team achieving this goal.
And also to add to that, how was the second and third? Was it business as usual, or did you covet it like you did the first?
Ah, okay.
Okay. All right. So I'll say this. Like, this is what I always say about the Super Bowls. They kind of, I don't know if y'all have kids, but they like your kids. Like, the first one is, all right, your first one. And
you feed them, you keep them
like the love is still the same, but y'all got different relationships.
I got it.
And then if it's a girl, you have a different relationship with your girls than the boys. So all of them kind of fit and flow, and that's kind of how I put it. It's kind of like your kids. You love them all and you enjoy them all, and all of them are different in their own regards. Okay. Me and my wife, we have 4, so
I can understand that. I've got 4 boys, and the youngest goes,
okay, good.
Why don't I have as many pictures just as the others? Hey, man, we just didn't go.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
still love you, but just didn't go.
Yeah, I still love you. I love you. Too.
Hey, and speaking of that transition, what's your thoughts? Like, how has it been? You transition from high school to college to the league. You were fortunate to be in situations to where you were able to learn. How did you figure out your new path? Like, I'm sure you've done well in regards to, business ventures, but you've jumped into one of the hardest sports outside of chess.
Yes.
In the game of poker. How, like, your transition, how was that first year out of the game when you walked away to where you are now? How was that?
Right. Well, put it like it was. I was just looking for fun hobbies at the time, so it wasn't like I just stopped and said,
"That's a rough hobby," because I've been getting beat up. My bad.
No, it's cool. It was one of those situations where once I got done, I really wanted to, be responsible and be there for my family and my kids and spend time and, give them all the things that my parents gave me. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be present. So, whether it was all the games and everything that they wanted to do, like I wanted to be there in their life. And I just felt like I was fortunate and afforded that opportunity. And you always hear the term time is money and money is time, right? Well, the way that I looked at it, I was like, well, okay, I have the money. Yeah. So it essentially, I've bought my time back. Right?
That's huge.
So how do I want to spend my time now? And I'm reluctant to give up a lot of my time if it's not really worth the things that are in line with the things that I want to do and accomplish.
Absolutely.
Right? So, so that was there. And so I just had an opportunity to kind of really explore avenues of what makes me happy, what makes my family happy, how can I pour the love into my children that, like, again, I said that, my parents poured into me. Mm-hmm. But also, still balance so much. And it wasn't always easy in terms of finding what that looked like. Yep. It was talking to different people and, having meetings and, so it was a lot of, moving parts, you know what I mean? So, but I just tried to, enjoy the process and, like I said, it was liberating because I was able to do it on my own terms. And so that's, I guess that's one aspect, but just also in terms of poker, I played like as a kid with my dad. Yeah. So the desire was all like, I always had an understanding of the game, but like, so I knew like, all right, well, straight beat, two pair or whatever. You know, so
Right.
I knew fundamentals, but like I really didn't understand like tournament poker and like cash game poker or whatever the
Totally
case may
different.
be. Yeah, right. So from there, like once I started playing, because I had a buddy that played, and I played in a little small tournament with him. But when I played, I said, "Wow, this is where I belong." Like this, I felt I felt my palms sweaty. I felt the energy change
jitterness.
and my heart rate rise. So I just said, you know what? Like this is it. I'm competing again. I enjoy this.
We
What I
talked
told
about
him.
that.
That's what I told him. That's what I told him.
And then from there, I said, well, now, it's fun. I enjoyed it. I just started slow and just started to learn, and my game started to develop. And I just had a natural instinct because I think the game of football has taught me so much in terms of what preparation looks like. It's taught me so much in terms of never getting too high, never getting too low. So like if things happen on the felt where, you know, I've seen really good players tilt off all of their money because they can't take a loss. You know what I mean? So it's so many things that was just intrinsically just in my personality that I didn't have to like, it wasn't work to play at a high level. You know what I mean? Because it was a lot of the qualities were already there. But then I just had to learn more about the game and you know, then I was just able to do that and play in a lot of big events and also compete with the best players in the world. And you can't really do that in any other sport. Like you can't go from high school football and just go and compete with the guys in the NFL. Like it just, you know, but like in poker, you can go and compete against the best in the world. And but I said this, like regardless of, you know, any money that I've made, I said I wanted to be ready to compete at that level with the best in the world. So I just went on a journey and just broke the game down, dissect every aspect of it, and still learning. And now I can look back and say, when I first started, man, was I so green and didn't know. But it was a learning experience, right? And then my game just started to grow and I saw the game differently. And then now new doors are open and my mind of what I thought the game was to what I see the game as today is totally different. So, and it's still evolving. And, you know, one of my buddies said, well, if you sit down at the table and you can't really spot the mark at the table or the fish at the table, then it's probably you. And you never want to be
right. Right.
And you never want to be that guy. You know what I mean? So I just always try to, you know, take it slow and learn. And like we talked about earlier, not skipping any steps along the way. Yeah. And, you know, and like I said, I mean, I've, you know, been very fortunate to, like, one of my guys that coaches me, like he's a top 5 player in the world. Okay. And like just to have that type of, it's almost like even now, like having Coach Belichick as your defensive coach. Like, all right, well, he's the best to ever do it. So like when he tells you something, it gives you confidence over anybody else telling you this. Or if Coach Belichick is telling you, hey, you're the cornerstone of our team. And when you do this, nobody can stop you. You know what I mean? Like, so it just gives you that confidence. That. Like, oh, you're gonna do whatever he said. I can do
that. You know what I like, Richard? It reminds me of when you shared that first time running out the tunnel. All that energy, all that excitement, I can hear. Right. But what he talked about, Travis, that I love is it's still the preparation. He's doing what it takes to be the best at his craft, and the goal is to be the best long term.
Long term, period.
Right.
Let me switch this right fast, Richard, because I want our listeners to understand. Yes, great athlete. Yes, has transitioned to another career. But I don't want people to not know He is a father who said and is committed to his kids. He said being in that moment. Richard, tell us about the foundation you also have. I know that you are big in giving back to the community. Share that. You know, we talk about your accolades as an athlete, but I want to talk about your accolades as a man giving back to his community.
You still have BGC, correct?
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, I'll just say this, like, just in terms of like my philanthropic efforts and the things that, how you try to affect other people's lives, who maybe don't have the voice that you have or have the platform that you have. I think it's important, especially during the movement in the country and all the social unrest and injustices and fight for equality in the country that we have now. But I'll be remiss if I didn't say that it didn't come from my core family values in terms of my dad always gave me tough love and my mom gave me the nurturing side.
Right.
And so I just thought that I've always had a balanced childhood in terms of, just caring for people and loving on people and, not being judgmental and just understanding the full dynamic and full scope of life. And I've, from my grandparents to everybody that has just poured into my life, it's hard for me to kind of talk about all of those things, but I look at it too, like I was, whether we were talking about like Hall of Fame and that sort of thing, it's talk about yourself, but I also looked at it as it's also an opportunity for me to give everybody their flowers and pay respects to the people that's poured into my life.
Absolutely.
And it's been so many people, and I wouldn't be the man that I am today if it wasn't for those core values and the love that I received from so many. And another one of the proudest things is, me and my wife are donors at the University of Georgia and, have the Seymour Family Scholarship. And,
Okay.
When I came there on my visit, I was 16 years old and I was able to, me and my family, we were able to give back to the university that's given us so much. But I was a young boy then, and then coming back to do that as, I just had my 41st birthday, and
My birthday's tomorrow.
41 now, yeah, but like it's kind of came full circle, and you're so grateful for so much,
Right.
So yeah,
That's good stuff, man. Do you
appreciate it, bro.
you have any pillars to success that you want to share to help some young folk hopefully strive? If I tell people all the time, I can't help you be the next Richard Seymour. I can't help you be the next Tom Brady or Travis Stroud, if you will.
I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming.
But I can help you become the best you
Right.
can be.
Right.
Any words of wisdom?
Yeah, well, I'll say this. I think it's important to ignore the noise, for one. Like it, in the world of like social media and always feeling the need to live up to expectations of others, I think you need to figure out what's important to you and what it is that you want to do in life. And when I say ignore the noise, like it's always going to be, people that say, why are you doing this? And, but I think regardless of any of that, I think you have to block it out and you have to stay the course. Right. And that's, and we talked about earlier, I think, once you're kind of like able to block everything out and ignore the noise, I think you have to have inside of you the ability to, work hard and be disciplined and be relentless in your drive to be the absolute best that you can be. And then I always tell my kids, at the end of the day, you can live with the results. Like, regardless of what they are, if you leave no stone unturned in terms of what it is that you want to do, like, at the end of the day, like, I can just live with that. Like, I'm comfortable within my own skin knowing that, I couldn't do this as good as Trav or that, like, but I was able to maximize who I was.
Yeah.
And, like, I can sleep with that at the end of the day,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
That is. Well, Richard, we want to say thank you. I mean, what a great conversation.
Oh, man. Anytime.
Well, we're going to have to bring him back, Travis. What you think?
Yeah, we
Yeah, you
I
know
need
what?
to get
That
on
was
that
episode
poker tape.
1. That was episode
Right.
1.
Yeah, that episode one. So this is my show. So you're more than welcome to come back anytime, big guy.
Yes.
I need to get on that poker table with you. You let me know where
Yeah, let's do that. You know what? We need to do a game in there or something.
I love it.
Let's
do it.
Actually, it's a huge studio. So it's a lot of opportunity. Also, the Ring of Honor. Congratulations on that.
Yes.
Because I think you're getting inducted this year, correct? And then,
I don't know. Yeah. Well, since COVID and everything that's going on, you on the list. I got inducted. Yeah, I'm on the list.
There we go.
They already got the fight, so I'm good.
Yeah, you good. And then when you go into the hall, your boy got to be there with you. Got to be there with you.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man.
I
appreciate you coming in, spending time with us, and
no, guys, hey, thanks for having me. And it was a true blast and joy. And like I said, I'm willing to come back and we have round 2, chapter 2.
Let's do it.
Love it. Let's do it. This is Terry Johnson and Travis Stride within the game. Until next time, Travis, I'll see you, my friend.
I